Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really zeroing in on something pretty fundamental inside us, NAD plus nu.
Right. It's this tiny molecule, a coenzyme, but it's absolutely essential. Think of it like, well, a spark plug for so many processes.
Yeah, energy production, keeping everything running. It exists in a couple of forms, NAD plus and NADH mainly, doing slightly different jobs.
And it's involved in, I think the number is over 500, enzymatic reactions. Things like getting energy from food glycolysis, the citric acid cycle.
And not just energy, right? Also things like DNA repair, keeping genes working properly via enzymes like sirtuins and PRPs.
Exactly, which is why it gets so much attention for health and, longevity.
So for you listening, we want to really unpack the science behind NAD plus supplements, look at the actual research on benefits, but also, crucially, the potential harms, get you up to speed quickly.
And part of the interest comes from this idea that NAD plus levels, well, they seem to drop as we get older.
Some studies suggested quite a big drop, linking it to age-related diseases, cognitive decline, metabolic issues.
Yeah, though it's fair to say recent research has questioned how universal or steep that decline really is. It's still an active area, but it definitely sets the stage for why people are looking at supplementation.
Okay, so let's dig into the science a bit more.
Right.
How exactly does NAD plus do all this? Energy first.
Okay, energy. So NAD plus is central to redox reactions. Basically, it accepts electrons, transforming into NADH.
Right.
And the NADH is what heads over to the mitochondria, the cell's power plants, to help crank out ATP, our main energy currency. It's like a little energy shuttle bus.
Got it. Makes sense. And the DNA repair angle, how does it work there?
It's a helper molecule, a cofactor, for enzymes like PRPs and sirtuins. ART1 is for ART6, PRP1. These guys are the cell's repair crew. They spot DNA damage, and they need NAD plus to actually do the repairs.
Yeah.
So it's critical for maintaining, genomic stability.
And it's involved in cell signaling too, like how cells talk to each other or respond?
Yeah, it's a substrate or cofactor for enzymes like sirtuins again, but also CD38, which regulate metabolism, inflammation, cell survival pathways. It's quite interconnected. It's even a precursor for other signaling molecules.
So this age-related decline, even if debated, is a key reason for the supplement interest.
It is. The thinking is if levels drop, maybe boosting them could help counteract some age-related issues. But again, active research.
Which leads us straight to precursors. How do we actually boost NAD plus?
Right. So the body can make NAD plus from a few things. The main ones you hear about in supplements are nicotinamide riboside, or NR, and nicotinamide mononucleotide, NMN.
Okay.
There's also nicotinamide, which is niacinamide, nicotinic acid, or niacin, and even the amino acid tryptophan, though that's a longer pathway.
So NR and NMN are kind of shortcuts.
Sort of. They use what are called salvage pathways. The body recycles components. NR gets turned into NMN, then NMN gets turned into NAD plus CKD. It's thought to be more direct than starting from scratch with tryptophan.
And people mostly take these as pills.
Mostly oral supplements, yeah. You also see IV infusions marketed, claiming better absorption, but the evidence for that is pretty thin, honestly.
Okay, the big question then. What do the human studies show? Do these things actually work?
Well, studies do show that taking NR or NMN can increase NAD plus levels in the blood or tissues. That part seems fairly consistent.
But does that translate to health benefits?
That's where it gets fuzzier. For NR, there's some potential evidence, maybe for cardiovascular health markers, metabolic function, physical performance in certain groups, like older adults.
And NMN?
Similar story. Early studies hint at possible benefits for insulin sensitivity, maybe aerobic capacity, fatigue reduction. But then you also have studies, especially in healthy people, showing no significant effects.
So lots of caveats.
Huge caveats. Small studies, short durations, lots of variability between people. And critically, what happens in a mouse doesn't always happen in a human. We're definitely not at a point of strong, conclusive evidence for widespread benefits.
Right. And we need to talk about the flip side, too. Potential harm, side effects.
Absolutely. With oral supplements, people report things like stomach upset, dizziness, some flushing, especially with niacin forms, headaches, fatigue. Not usually severe, but they happen.
Anything more serious?
There are some reports, maybe at higher doses, of things like elevated liver enzymes, muscle pain, and the IV stuff. That's a whole other issue.
Oh.
Yeah, the FDA has actually issued warnings about non-sterile IV NAD plus products causing pretty nasty reactions. Chills, vomiting, serious fatigue, likely due to contamination. Plus, the IV itself can sometimes cause nausea or heart palpitations.
Yikes. So who should definitely stay away?
Standard advice: pregnant or breastfeeding women, children. People with existing liver or kidney problems should be cautious. But the big one is cancer.
Why cancer specifically?
There's concern that since NAD plus fuels cell metabolism and growth, including potentially cancer cells, taking high doses might theoretically promote tumor growth or interfere with treatments. Most oncologists would advise against it.
Okay, that's crucial. Any drug interactions to know about?
Yeah, potential interactions exist. It could affect blood sugar control drugs, maybe enhance blood pressure lowering meds, interact with blood thinners like warfarin. Always talk to a doctor before starting.
And navigating the market. It sounds a bit like the Wild West.
It can be. In the U.S., these are mostly classed as dietary supplements. That means no FDA pre-approval like drugs, less oversight on purity, dosage accuracy, potential contaminants.
So buyer beware.
Definitely. Look for reputable brands, ideally ones that do third-party testing for quality and transparency. And interestingly, the FDA has actually stated that NMN doesn't meet the definition of a dietary supplement because it was investigated as a drug first. So its regulatory status is, well, complicated.
So putting it all together, what's the general feeling among experts right now?
It's mixed, honestly. Some see the potential, especially given NAD plus Weiss's role in aging biology, but there's a lot of caution. The strong consensus is that the hype has outpaced the solid human evidence.
Most of the exciting results are still in animals.
Largely, yes, and translating that is tricky. There's skepticism about marketing claims, the real-world impact of boosting NAD plus levels, and definitely about the IV route. Some research even challenges the idea that simply low NAD plus is a primary driver of aging issues.
So no major medical groups are recommending this across the board?
No, absolutely not. Not for general anti-aging or health maintenance. The focus remains on proven lifestyle factors. Diet, exercise, sleep. Those are still the foundations for healthy aging.
Okay, so to wrap this up for you, our listener, NAD plus is undeniably vital. Supplements can raise its levels, but the proof for broad health benefits in humans just isn't quite there yet. It's limited, inconsistent.
Right. Stick with the basics. Healthy lifestyle habits are still your best bet.
And be really cautious, especially with IV therapy, probably best avoided. Same goes if you have a cancer history or fall into those other vulnerable groups we mentioned.
And if you do consider supplements, do your homework on the brand quality, given the regulatory situation.
At the end of the day, the current science doesn't support widespread recommendations for NAD plus supplements for anti-aging or general health. A cautious, evidence-based view is really necessary.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. Given how absolutely fundamental NAD plus is to, well, life, what are the potential long-term, maybe unforeseen consequences if we start widely manipulating its levels before we truly understand all the downstream effects? What research do we desperately still need?
Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.